My name is David Brookbank. I was born here in Spokane, 5th of May of 1958. My dad was a B-52 pilot. My mom became a social worker over the years. I've been a social worker, am a social worker, done other things, worked in Latin America with peace and justice groups and with the U.S. State Department, and I speak Spanish, and I feel like two people, a person that is white and speaks English and is born in Spokane, and a person who's not white and who speaks Spanish and has these people that I'm very connected to who are Latin Americans from all kinds of places. And it seems to have created some kind of an internal tension and conflict. But it's creative, I think. It's productive. It's led me to be places and do things and relate to and live with people and have strong desires and goals related to somehow curing or healing, unifying that's division or split. But there's also, I'm born here in Spokane. I've come and gone a lot, and then I had a son, and when children in Spokane are in about the 4th grade, they come home, and like my son, they can be pretty excited, and one day my son said, Daddy, we're Spokanites. That means we're children of the sun. And I was excited for him, but I also had to tell him that, well, son, we're all children of the sun in a certain way, but that's a name that we stole from the people that originally lived here on this land, and the river and the land and even their name, Spokane. And that was sort of a hard thing to tell him, I don't think it crushed his joy or anything, but I think it was the right thing to say, to be honest and to open a space. And I've thought about it a lot, being in Spokane and knowing that there are peoples here, those people, the Spokane people and others, Salish-speaking people, Fisher people, and it makes me sad. It really makes me sad because they're here and they're kind of voiceless in a way. They speak in their daily lives, but we don't hear from them much, and their language is almost a language that's been in the midst of dying. A neighbor lady that lived next door to me, Evelyn Teeters, she died just a few years ago here in Spokane. She's Spokane, and until she was in her late 70s, walked every day to her job at Sacred Heart from the north side of Spokane. But, had I not just happened to have a conversation with her one day in the yard, I wouldn't have known. And then I've become aware of just the numbers of Native peoples here, not just Spokane, but apparently some 50 or 60 urban tribes in this area. There are monuments in the area, and they're reminders of U.S. imperialism in the conquering of this area and the destruction of the tribes and the peoples here. I wasn't aware of all of it. How the Army raced up the river and burned villages and burned grain stores and contaminated water sources when the U.S. Army was engaged in warfare against the Native peoples here. But so there are monuments like the one out at Four Lakes that talk about the gathered savages and Colonel George Wright's army. But then there are other things like that I wasn't even aware of, the bricks, the bronze spiral bricks, the coyote poem that Sherman Alexie wrote, that is there at Spokane Falls Boulevard and Monroe. It was part of the city's art funding, and that talks about, you know, what the white society has done to the river and concreting it in. And so, you know, we don't have the salmon that would connect from the river and the lake and to the ocean. That connection is broken. So, you know, it'd be a wonderful thing. My mom lives out off the river, out in the valley, and I remember last year, maybe 2 years ago, walking along the Centennial Trail along the river and hearing this very odd noise, very high-pitched noise. And we're pretty sure it was a river otter. Just one river, you know, long, thin, kind of lean river otter, and calling out and playing out in the river. But, you know, to imagine, and you see the trout, maybe, I don't know exactly the other fish that might be jumping out there, but to imagine salmon running again, you know, it's a powerful thought. So, you know, there's a lot of potential and beauty in this area. Right now, I know they say there's 500 eagles at Coeur d'Alene, like a record number, some kind of amazing number. Not probably an all-time record, but maybe in our lifetimes, and maybe it's a sign of some recuperation or some spirit or energy. So my son is home too, you know. The eagles are back, and someday maybe the salmon will be back. My son's back from over in Evergreen where he's going to college, and he said he's going to move out of the dorms where it's all cramped in, you know, and noisy and all, and he's going to move to a house across one of the inlets on the Puget Sound, and he's going to canoe to school. So he'll canoe like from this house with these other guys, 10 minutes across, and then beach his canoe and then walk through the woods to campus. And you know, it gives me, as a person now 52 years old, it inspires me to think, well, okay, I do some translations. And I translated something from Spanish to English recently, a speech given by a theologist in Cuba, a liberation theologist, a Brazilian, at an event in Cuba, where he talked about, and I don't know if this is true, I'm still trying to find out if this is true, that eagles can live to be like 60, 70, 80 years old, but that at some point, about midlife, their beaks and their claws grow weak, and that they go up in the mountains and they rip their claws and their beak out. I don't know if this is true, and that they grow back strong and they're able to live, you know, to continue to hunt and live for another 30 or 40 years. And I was thinking, that was really important to me when I heard that, because I thought, you know, I'm like an eagle with my beak and my claws grown weak, and I need to be rejuvenated. You know, I need to. So I'm thinking, well, geez, what's that mean for me to rip my claws and my beak out and be in the mountains and for some months for them to grow back? So I've been thinking about that a lot, you know, because my son's gone now and doing his thing. He's not gone, but physically he's moved on. So that's where I'm at, you know, and trying to figure out how to live my life, what's my path, and this is a good opportunity, thinking about the salmon coming back.